So I've got another book recommendation. I've just finished Counterfeit Kingdom by Holly Pivec and Douglas Gievett. Theirs is a majors on the NAR movement, what they call the NAR movement, which is the New Apostolic Reformation. So you'll see this in charismatic churches and influence from them, whether it's really truly a movement or whether it's just feeding in teaching from particular sources. That's up for grabs. You know, the NAR churches always deny they're not part of a movement. They never heard of NAR. But what are the characteristics is going to be, they believe in the sort of the current offices of apostle and prophet, and ultimately that people should align underneath them, meaning they should submit to these authorities. So they go for the fivefold ministry, which is something that they've really kicked into high gear in that movement, where they believe that, well, they tell people basically that if you align with apostles and prophets, you will be more blessed and will have this success in their ministry and in bringing heaven to earth. And that's one of their critical kind of telltale signs. There's a lot of language that they use similarly throughout NAR churches, and heaven to earth is one of them. And we've seen that Bethel is one of these. They believe in the seven mountain mandate, which you can look into, how to influence basically the world, how the church or their version of the church is going to take over the world. The book's great. It looks into things like grave soaking that Bethel got into. It also looks at the gold glitter issue, that when they were putting gold glitter into the air vents, claiming it was a miracle. There was some scientific tests done on that, but also, more importantly, the people that were doing it actually repented and came to salvation and came out of that and owned up to it. So that was really good. Nevertheless, they don't just deal with Bethel in the book. They also look at other things and other issues, bigger issues, worship music, whether it's NAR influenced worship music or their ministries, and what happens when a family member gets involved in those movements and how difficult it can be. They also look at name calling. You might be familiar with it if you've bumped into them or moved away from that area. You know, you'll be called a Pharisee, you'll be called you'll have a Jezebel spirit or religious spirit, for basically saying, here's what scripture says and here's what you're doing. And you're trying to call them out in love and saying, hey, you know what? This is exactly the opposite of what God is telling us to do. But then they get their backs up, and so they resort to name calling. And this is one of their sort of manipulative tactics that they use to keep people on their side, because you don't want to be on the other side of that. And it's pretty mean. So again, Counterfeit Kingdom, really recommend it.